Greetings, fellow humans. It is I, Mr. Sabman, and today we're going to take a look at the top 10 Ozzy Osbourne studio albums. Now, these are just going to be studio recordings. We're not going to go into live. We're not going to go into greatest hits or best of, or there was a lot of them. But we're only going to be looking at the studio recordings on this top 10 list. So let's get right into it. Coming in at number 10, Down to Earth, released November 16th, 2001. This is a pretty solid album. It has hits like Dreamer, Junkie, and Gets Me Through. It's a good solid album, but it doesn't really kick me in the jimmies, if you know what I mean. Coming in at number 9, Black Rain, released May 22nd of 2007. Again, another good solid album featuring hits like I Don't Wanna Stop and Not Going Away. There is a really awesome hidden gem on this album, and it's the last track on the disc. It's called Trapdoor. Really awesome rockin' song. This album is a very slow, dramatic album, but it's a good, solid album, but it only comes in at number 9. Coming in at number 8, No Rest for the Wicked, released October 22nd of 1998. This album is a real gem. This one does kick me into jimmies. This has such songs as Miracle Man, Crazy Babies, Demon Alcohol, Fire in the Sky. This whole album put together is a really good listen, and I enjoy listening to it every time. Moving on to number 7, Scream, released June in 2010. Now this album was probably Ozzy's heaviest album he ever put out. The title track, Scream, just grabs you and throws you across the room, and the whole album's pretty heavy. So if you're into heavy music, this is probably the heaviest Ozzy album that you're gonna get. Moving on to number 6. Now I know this might seem a little odd, but coming in at number 6, Blizzard of Oz, released September 20th, 1980. The whole album was a hit. The entire album was a hit. Crazy Train, I Don't Know, Mr. Crowley, Goodbye to Romance. And people are going to want to hear this album forever. I mean, this is a great album. The only reason I have it coming in at number 6, I don't really care for the production. It's too produced, it's too polished, and I think they could have done better with that. Coming in at number 5, The Ultimate Sin, released February 22nd, 1986. A lot of people think this isn't a very good album, but I love this album. This album's great. The title track, The Ultimate Sin, is fantastic. Of course, you got the number 1 smash hit, Shot in the Dark. Then you have other songs like Killer of Giants and Thank God for the Bomb and Never Know Why and Never. But it's a really good listen. It's a good, solid album. Now, the production on this album is very 80s style. It's very keyboardy, very synthy, and it was just what they were doing at the time, and it kind of takes me back to that time, but nonetheless, a great, solid album. Coming in at number 4, Bark at the Moon, released December 10th, 1983. Now, this album was the first album to feature Jake E. Lee on the guitar, and he did a fantastic job. His solos are absolutely incredible. Mind-boggling how his hands can move that fast. He is just incredible. And the title track, Bark at the Moon, fantastic. Other great tracks on here worthy of mentioning are Rock and Roll Rebel, Journey to the Center of Eternity, You're No Different, and Waiting for Darkness. Now those are some of my favorites. Obviously the whole album is a good listen. You can put on that album, stick it on repeat and be totally satisfied. Coming in at number 3, No More Tears, released September 17th, 1991. Now this album is noted as the album that saved Ozzy's career. I don't agree with that statement because Ozzy's Ozzy and he's like the number 1 survivor ever, and he's the freaking man. So it kind of brought him from a level of kind of obscurity. This is the album that plugged Ozzy into the mainstream. I mean, this album had very radio-friendly songs like Mama, I'm Coming Home, and I Don't Want to Change the World. And there were some really awesome songs like Road to Nowhere and Mr. Tinker Train. Very solid album, and this is a good listen to. I mean, I love this album. This album is freaking incredible. And probably my favorite song on the album, S.I.N. Just absolutely fantastic song. I put that on repeat sometimes, and I can't get enough of that one. Coming in at number 2, Diary of a Madman, released November 7th, 1981. Now this is the first Ozzy album that I ever got a chance to listen to, and when I put the disc in and listened to Over the Mountain, that was the hook that brought me in to being an Oz fan for life. And this album is just completely out of this world. The title track, Diary of a Madman, is just beautiful. beautiful. The Randy Rhoads guitars on that song are just fantastic. They blow me away every time I hear it. I mean, I think that was probably the best song that they did. And SATO, there's been some arguments of what that really means. The most popular decryption of that is Sharon Arden Thelma Osborne. Now, that's the most popular one. There's a few others floating around out there, some weird stuff. But anyway, that song is just fantastic, an incredible song. Tonight is a fantastic track. I love that one. Little Dolls really stands out with the drums. They rock me hard. I can't get enough of that album. That album is a complete masterpiece and going to be flying off store shelves forever. Now, getting to number one, let me tell you something about number one. My number one album changes very frequently. This list is not set in stone, and it fluctuates for me depending on my mood, depending on what's going on in my life. But this is about the order that they fall in. It changes. This list is not set in stone. No, it can't be. That's why I don't like top 10 lists, because for me it changes constantly. But right now, I'm thinking number one Ozzy Osbourne album for me is Ozzmosis. Ozzmosis released October 1995. This album was fantastic. This album went double platinum in the United States. First of all, Geezer Butler plays the bass. Geezer Butler toured with Ozzy in the late 80s, early 90s, and came back and recorded this album with Ozzy and contributed to the writing of this album. Now, for those of you who don't know, Geezer Butler is the bass player for Black Sabbath, and if you don't know that, now you do. Geezer Butler is a fantastic songwriter, and he wrote the lyrics for the majority of the Black Sabbath Ozzy-era songs. If you haven't checked out some of his solo stuff, I suggest that you do, because it's pretty cool stuff. The combination of Geezer Butler with Zakk Wylde on guitar and Randy Castillo playing the drums, that has to be the best lineup, in my opinion, that Ozzy's ever had. This album captures Ozzy's vision almost perfectly. You know, there's a lot of really awesome songs out here, but some songs that stick out for me are Thunder Underground, My Jekyll Doesn't Hide, Perry Mason, and I Just Want You. Wow. Just incredible songs. And this album is really, really dark and really, really heavy. Also, another interesting little tidbit about this album, Lemmy Kilmister was also involved in writing some of the songs on this album. He also helped Ozzy write some songs on No More Tears, but this album, Geezer, Lemmy, Zakk, Randy Castillo, this just gets me foaming at the mouth. It's heavy, and there's a few fluff songs in there, but you gotta expect that if you're an Ozzy fan. He likes the ballads. I like the ballads too. But other than those, really hard and heavy album. I love it so much. Well, that's going to bring us to an end. And I'd like to remind you that this is not set in stone at all. I mean, it gravitates towards the top 10 list I have going here. But for me, it changes all the time. And there's one album on here that I didn't mention, and I didn't even think it's worthy of being on the list. But on Wikipedia, it's classified as one of his studio albums. It's Undercover, that came out back in 2005. An album of cover songs. Oh my god, it was a pile of shit. I hated it. It's not that good. I mean, if you want to hear Ozzy sing Sympathy for the Devil, you don't want to hear that. No, not at all. Well, maybe if you want to hear something bad. I don't know. But like I said, this is the order that I like to put them in. Again, it fluctuates, and I'm rambling on here now. So thanks for watching, everybody, and don't forget to click that like button, smash the subscribe button, and do whatever it is these kids on YouTube are doing these days. Alrighty, so keep it real and never say die. I'm Mr. Sabman. I'll see you next time.